This is a video tour of analytics in PlayPosit, and we'll cover how to find classes, bulbs, reports within the PlayPosit interface. We're going to start in Moodle, since that's where most folks will begin to access PlayPosit. If you have a bulb or interactive video already built, you will click on that particular bulb and then select the monitor button. Once you're on the screen for monitoring this particular bulb, I can find the title of the bulb I'm working with and see some quick results from all of the different students who have completed that bulb. I also have this button here called Bulb Analytics. And if I click on that, I'm going to access a quick summary view of how students are performing on this bulb, including completion statistics and how many students have gotten my different questions correct or incorrect. So now I may want to check out other bulbs or different analytics. So I'm going to stay within the PlayPosit view so I can choose the classes menu in order to find some more data about the class I'm working with in Moodle. So here's where all the classes I've linked PlayPosit bulbs will show up. So I can now choose to dive into bulbs, dive into my gradebook, which will give me results across all the bulbs I've put in that class, or dive into some reporting on my learners. I'm going to start by clicking on bulbs. So now these are all the different bulbs that are in the course. I can choose any one of them, look to the right where the actions menu is, and then choose monitor in order to find some data about that particular bulb. Here is where, again, I can click on Bulb Analytics in order to access the specific data about this bulb. I also have a download button on most pages or data export. And when I select that, I'll have an opportunity to download a CSV file that can be opened in Excel or could be opened in Google Sheets. So here's an example of a bulb that has been downloaded. So I have a ton of data about this particular bulb, including things like the learner name, how many points were available, what scores individual students got, whether or not they completed it, and even things like how much time they spent on in particular interactions that I have added to that bulb. I'm going to click back into PlayPosit and we'll take a look at a little bit more data. So if you remember right, we went into classes and we chose the bulbs in order to get a list of our bulbs and then check out some data. But I can also choose gradebook if I want to see performance of my students across the different bulbs in my class. So now I see each one of the bulbs. I can scroll down and click through screens if I want to check on individual students. I can click on an individual score to find out more about that student's performance, like what they scored and how much time they spent. Now I'm going to go back to the gradebook. At the top of each bulb, I can also see the average score for that bulb. Here's a bulb where students scored 58% as average. And if I scroll to the right, I can find another one where students scored 66%. So those might be places or bulbs that I want to investigate more. I also, again, can do a data export, and I'll get a different kind of spreadsheet since this is a resulting of the whole gradebook. So now again, in this spreadsheet, each one of the columns is a different bulb, and I can dive into the specific data for each individual student. Here's an example of if I wanted to manipulate that spreadsheet so I can look at a few more things. So in this spreadsheet, I have added a column in between the learner name and each of the bulbs, and then set up a formula so that I am averaging together the bulbs so I can quickly see for each of my students how they're doing, and I could sort this column from low to high if I wanted to sort of group together my students who maybe weren't performing as well and see if there were some interventions required. I can also use what is called conditional formatting and create some rules. So in this case, I have for all of the bulb columns said that I want Google Sheets to mark in yellow anywhere that somebody has gotten a 50% or lower. And for just column D, I have, or see rather, where I've done the average of their scores. I've asked for Google Sheets to use conditional formatting to show me in red any value that's less than or equal to 50%. So I can very quickly find the students, again, who might be struggling. So that's just an example of a way that you might manipulate the data export spreadsheet. If I select learners here, then I also have a data export option, and I can see just a few bits of overview data, like how long each student spent on this particular bulb. So as kind of a recap on how to get here, I can start in Moodle, and then for any of my bulbs, go to Monitor, or I can go directly into PlayPosit and do a login with Google option, and then I would be in the PlayPosit interface where I can start looking at all of my data. I like going to classes, finding the class that I want to look at analytics for, and then choosing bulbs, gradebook, or learners in order to get into the specific data. And again, regularly check out this actions menu, looking for places where you can click on monitor to access data. You have the overall bulb analytics for each individual bulb, and you also have ways to do data export. So that's just a quick review of some of the things that you can find by using the different analytics and downloads that are available in PlayPosit.